This will certainly be an interesting video. Welcome into the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. Well, a report came out over the last 48 hours about the Miami Heat and their asking price in a potential Andrew Wiggins trade. And, well, I'm a bit shocked, but we'll start with this. Now, the report came from Brett Siegel, who reported that the Milwaukee Bucks inquired with the Heat about potentially trading for Andrew Wiggins. Now, the two teams that were linked to Wiggins the most this offseason were the Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, it's unclear if this inquiry from Milwaukee was before or after they ultimately went and signed Miles Turner and waived Damian Lillard. But I am fascinated by the Bucks being interested in Wiggins. But here's the shocking report that I wanted to share. Siegel said that the Heat were willing to deal Wiggins if they received an instant impact player along with an upcoming first-round pick before 2028. And I'll say this. I know a lot of people reacted in a harsh way, whether it is that is the right move, whether it is the wrong move. One thing that you can say is that the reporting about a potential Andrew Wiggins trade has been consistent the entire offseason when it came to the negotiations with the Los Angeles Lakers and inevitably the Milwaukee Bucks. And we'll get into that more here in just a second. But make sure you follow me over on Twitter because we have more breakdowns on the Miami Heat over there. 27 followers away from 2,200. Hey, you know what? 22, Andrew Wiggins. Why not? 27 followers. More Heat content over there if you want it right now. Well, I do want to take it back about 50 days, right around the NBA draft, where the Heat and Lakers were reportedly, I wouldn't say engaged very deep, but they were negotiating, they were talking on a potential Andrew Wiggins trade. Well, the consistent reporting from people around the Los Angeles Lakers, like Jovan Buha and Anthony Irwin, said that the Heat allegedly were asking of Dalton Connect a first-round pick and salary, whether it's Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent, whether it is Maxi Kleber and Gabe Vincent, two of those three in return for Andrew Wiggins. And I said on the shows back then when I was reacting that I feel like this is a very fair ask for Wiggins when it comes to Lakers because Connect has been a disappointing player. A first-round pick is what Wiggins' value is, in my opinion, and then they're just trying to get rid of some expiring salary. But the question that we have to ask now is if the Heat did trade Andrew Wiggins, is that what Miami should be actually asking for? Well, let's start by looking at Wiggins' tenure with Miami last season, where it was a pretty rocky one after he was dealt to Miami right before the trade deadline in the Jimmy Butler deal. He played in 17 of 33 regular season games, so he basically played half of the games he could have in the regular season, which obviously is the main issue here because his regular season numbers in those 17 games were very solid. I mean, if you told me that's what Wiggins' average with Miami on the left, I would be very happy. But the problem is that he didn't play more than 60% of the games. And then when the Heat showed up to the playoffs and they got embarrassed by the Cavs, a lot of issues arise during that series. Wiggins was certainly one of them. He was absolutely terrible. And I'll be honest, you can re-roll the tape. I was very critical of Andrew Wiggins in that playoff series. I was very critical of Andrew Wiggins just after the season concluded in the first month after the year into the offseason. But you can also look back at some of the videos that we've put out since the Norman Powell trade, because that was the inflection point, in my opinion, of this offseason. I went from, yeah, let's trade Andrew Wiggins to, wait a minute now, I didn't see Norman Powell potentially joining this Heat team, and now this changes how this Heat roster is constructed. And now it would take a very good package, like what is being reported, a first and a impact player, for me to trade Andrew Wiggins because I think he will be more impactful for this Heat team in 2025. But let me know your thoughts. Agree or disagree? Do you want to keep Andrew Wiggins? Type Y if you want to keep him. Type N if you're cool offloading him. Get down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. As I've said, I think with how this roster is currently constructed, Andrew Wiggins is in line for a better season with Miami, and I believe he will certainly return to his form that he was playing at with the Golden State Warriors because he just fits this roster so much better now. last year when Wiggins was in Miami, although his numbers in the regular season were solid, he was asked to do so much more offensively than he's been asked to do in the past. He was the third option. I could argue he was the second option offensively because we know how little Bam got used at times throughout the season last year. But Wiggins is not meant to be that. Wiggins is supposed to be a good connecting wing who defends, who hits his catch and shoot three-pointers, who is leveraging his shot into a dribble drive for a finish at the rim or a little 10-foot pull-up. He's a fourth option offensively. And now with Norman Powell coming into the fold, at least on the offensive end, he does so much better behind Powell, Hero, and Bam, which will allow him to have more of a focus off the ball, which is where he succeeds, as well as on the defensive end of the floor. Now, I do think Wiggins is in for a much better season, but I do want to be clear, I am not making him untouchable. I am still very open to trading Andrew Wiggins if the right package came along. Why is that? Well, I think it's important first that we have to look at his contract. His contract is guaranteed this season at $28.2 million, but he does have a player option next year at $30.1 million. So there is a world where he opts out, but I have a hard time finding ourselves living in that world a year from now because I doubt he will earn a contract more than $30 million per season in the open market next year. So if he opts in, he would then be an unrestricted free agent in 2027-28. But this is why I wanted to take a look at Wiggins' contract and why I could be in on potentially trading him between now and the deadline in February. The player option that Wiggins has in 26-27 is the only thing stopping Miami from having a max contract slot in NBA free agency next July. Think about all of the expiring salaries Miami has. Norman Powell at 20, Rozier at 26. It would then be Andrew Wiggins at 28. It also has Haywood Highsmith at 5, Fontecchio at 8. You just go on and on. Like all of that salary, it goes way over $100 million in expiring salary, which would then put Miami underneath the cap. I get confused with the luxury tax sometimes, folks. Underneath the salary cap by at least 40, 45, 50 million dollars, which would allow them to sign a free agent to a max contract spot. Now, it might not ultimately matter, which is why we'll talk about this in just a second. But make sure you do subscribe for daily Heat videos, Miami Heat news and rumors. We're live for Heat games in the season, in the preseason when it comes in September and October. We have 24,342 subs. Join the channel today. We're trying to be at 25K bare minimum before the season starts in a couple months, so join the channel right now. Now, I do want to make this note, is that it might not matter anyway if Wiggins is on the team or off the team next season in terms of a salary. And why do I say that? Well, yeah, having a max contract slot is cool, but who are you going to give it to? Because there really isn't any max contract worthy guys in free agency, at least projected right now. Now, Kevin Durant would be available, but are you doing that? I don't know. I also feel as if KD will extend in Houston at some point. Now, the obvious intriguing player here would be Trae Young. He has yet to sign an extension, but he's also got a player option. So it's not guaranteed that he would opt out and test the waters in free agency. And at this point in their careers, I'm not offering anybody else on this list a full-time max contract slot. There's just absolutely no way. So here's the bottom line when it comes to the cap space. Would Andrew Wiggins being off of this roster next year to have the max contract spot be awesome? Yes, it would, because I guess you never know if Trae Young ultimately is a free agent. But having that much cap space regardless would be a good thing because it just allows you to be maybe more aggressive in free agency, being able to sign a couple players to like $20 million deals just above that mid-level exception to incentivize them to come to Miami and you build out a better, well-rounded roster. It also gives you the possibility to take more salary back in a trade to where it makes it easier to send out contracts to get a superstar, or it gets you more assets in the future where you take a little bit more salary back, but you get more second-rounders, you get a potential first-round pick. So there is benefits of having that much cap space. It's just probably not going to come in the form of the Heat signing a max contract guy in NBA free agency. And coming up in just 1 second, I'm going to take a look at my Andrew Wiggins expectations for this season, assuming he is here for the entire year. But before we get into that, take advantage of this awesome Miami Heat sale right now. When you go to chatsports.com/MIA hoodie sale, you can get this Heat black hoodie, $15 off, usually $75, now available for $60. All sizes are in stock. It just went on sale this week. Take advantage before sizes are gone. One more time, chatsports.com/MIA hoodie sale. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Let's round out the show with this. My Andrew Wiggins expectations for this upcoming campaign, because I do expect a better year for Wiggins, and I want to show why I believe that. Well, the number one thing that I expect and need out of Andrew Wiggins is for him to play in 80% of the games. Why did I choose the number 80%? Because if I did my math correctly, which honestly I give it a 50-50 chance I did, 80% of 82 ends up coming out to 65 games. 65 games is what you need to qualify for to be on the potential All-NBA team and for awards following the season. Now, do I expect Wiggins to get any awards? No, but the idea is that he at least plays enough games where he qualifies. He missed 16 games as a member of the Heat last year in 2.5, 3 months. I hope he only misses 17 games the entire season this year. I need him to play more in a Heat uniform. Number two, I think he needs to lead this point of attack defense on the wing. Now, there are two players that you are going to point to for leading your defense. Obviously, Adebayo is kind of in his own separate category, in my opinion. He's just that chess piece defender. But when I'm thinking Wiggins, I want Wiggins to be guarding the best wing on the opposing team. I know he's not playing, but you get the point with Jason Tatum, a Pascal Siakam. Like, I want Wiggins to guard those type of guys. The other player I was referring to was Davion Mitchell off the bench. He will lead your point of attack defense at the opposing guards. So I need Wiggins to be a better defender, because if we're going to be honest, he just didn't defend at the level that I expected him to in a Miami Heat uniform, especially in those 4 playoff games against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the final thing I need from him, I need him to continue his efficiency off of the catch for the Miami Heat. Because in March, when he played 9 games for Miami, he actually shot 42.9% on catch-and-shoot three-pointers. Now, he was only attempting about 0.6 catch-and-shoot threes a night, so it's not a large sample size, but he needs to continue shooting at that rate. Now, in April, he only played 2 regular season games before the playoffs came, and he shot 20%, although only about 0.3 attempts a game in those 2 outings that he had. Point is, he needs to shoot, I would say, about 40% on the year on catch-and-shoot threes. He needs to defend, and needs to be available for 65 games. He does those 3 things. He will probably average at least 15 points, probably around 4 boards, couple assists, and be a great connecting front court piece to this backcourt and your Bam Adebayo, Kel'el Ware forward center duo. Wiggins could be key for Miami this season. That'll do it for today's show. If you want more around the Miami Heat, my Twitter is the place to find it. So go give me a follow right now at Nic_Rohloff.